Welcome, projectors, and I'm happy to see you. What if there is an ancient formula available this week for making impossible miracles happen? Not just manifestation theory, but where you can make actual miracles happen, like stuff where you wouldn't think that that's possible. So, we're going to talk about this week. Um, and it requires giving something up. So today will be about 45 minutes. And so in the next 45 minutes, I'm going to break down for you what the four-step formula is from this Kabbalistic energy so that you can also make impossible things happen in your life. It's really always about the question, like we're thinking with our limited mind, what can we make happen when really the creator is so powerful, the universe is so powerful that he, she, it, they can make anything happen. So that's what we're going to tap into today. It's this Shabbat energy is really about receiving blessings without shells, which I'm going to explain a little bit more, and making impossible miracles happen. So, first of all, I am curious and welcome here live on the Zoom. I'm so happy you're here. Some of you might have access to a keyboard, some not, but I want to know who here has received blessings disguised as triggers, pain, challenges, or loss before. Drop a 1 in the chat if that's you, or drop a me in the comments on YouTube. I want to know because this is what we're going to talk about today, a large part of it. And then I'm also going to give you the four-step formula. And it's going to be very, very practical spirituality. Paula, 1. Yeah, I put a 1 in the chat myself because, that's a lot of life is like that. And we're going to cover today what it takes to not receive blessings in a shell anymore. So that you can get blessings without the challenges, without the pain, without the loss, without the triggers, and just really seeing that they're shells, but then also how do we actually get them so that we don't need them anymore, that we can get the blessings delivered pure and clean. And then we're going to talk about the formula, the 4 steps of how to actually, hello everyone who's coming on. I always love seeing your faces. Keep your cameras on. Then we're going to talk about the 4 steps, how to actually call in these unlimited, impossible seeming blessings this week. So this is again the energy of the Shabbat, which is happening tomorrow if you're watching this, but this is available at all times. It's just during the Shabbat energy it's easier to tap into that power. So this Shabbat energy is called Vayera. And let me start out with a little story about Abraham, which maybe you've already seen me post, but I wanted to just bring it in. Abraham, one of the wisest men known in historical writings and in the biblical story for sure. He went and got circumcised at 99 years old. The old man thought that was the next thing he needed to do. And the reason why he did it is because he wanted to symbolically and physically give something up so that he could become closer friends with the Creator. So he decided to get circumcised at 99 years old. His wife, Sarah, at the time was 90 years old, and they did not have any children because she was, I guess the word is called barren. She didn't have a uterus, she didn't have a womb, whatever the technicalities were. She could not have children. She was 90, he was 99, then he got circumcised. So his idea was that he was going to give something up in order to establish a closer relationship with a closer friendship, really, with the Creator. Not just this relationship where he went ahead to say, like most of us are doing a lot of the days, right? Creator, please help me with this. Creator, please give me this. I want that in my life. Can you please give me this? And all that kind of stuff. But more like that the creator is actually a friend and always available, always around. So he wanted to establish that. And that's why he gave up something physical. He gave up major comfort because in those times, there was probably very little that they did with doctors and healings and anesthesia. So he was sitting outside of his house on the third day after after his procedure, which is supposedly the worst day. And in the glaring sun, it was supposedly one of the hottest days ever experienced too. So he was in pain, it was glaringly hot, and he was sitting outside of his house. And all he was looking for was someone he could share with, because he was always sitting outside of his house. He was always chasing sharing. We talk about sharing all the time, right? Giving to other people, being generous with your light, with your resources, with your energy. And so he was looking for someone because he already knew that the the key to healing is sharing, not just physically, but also spiritually. So what the creator did, because now the creator saw how extra dedicated Abraham was for giving up his foreskin at the age of 99 in large pain and discomfort, and still sitting outside of his house to look for someone to share. And here's just the first thing to ask ourselves, to reflect on, like, how many times am I slightly inconvenienced and I'm already thinking about quitting, like, I remember, and I've been in my business, I've had my coaching business for 7+ years now, and I remember there were many times in the past when I had a fight with my ex and I was out of commission, out of emotional commission. And I was like, I got to cancel these calls. I just can't do it right now, right? When the most powerful time to show up and help other people and do what we're here to do in the world is actually when we do it in a state where we are actually the ones who also could use some help, right? It's not that we have to go for it and put ourselves in a state of hospitalization so that we can be sharing in a more powerful way. But also what we talked about in last week's call, and you can always go back to that, is like one of your big purposes is to heal yourself and to go through your process of the challenges and the pain so that you can reveal more light inside of yourself so that you can share, right? So Abraham was looking for someone to share with because he knew it would be a good thing. And because the creator saw that, he sent 3 angels disguised as men to come past his house so that he could share with them. And they were 3 of the archangels. One was Raphael to help him physically heal. Then I think Gabriel and Michael, but I don't know what specifically they were doing. But so Abraham had someone to share with, to share food with, to share wisdom with, to share his hospitality with. And all the while he was in excruciating pain while healing from his circumcision. So that is the creator. The creator did that for him because he saw that he was chasing the sharing and giving something up to be closer with him. So now my question for you is, first of all, how many times are you in a state of discomfort and you're not willing to share? There's just something that you can reflect on, and something also to reflect on is, where am I not willing to give something up to be closer to the creator? Better question to ask is really, and I would love for you to reflect in the chat if you're here, and I will read them out so they can be part of the call. But also, what is something that you are willing to give up this week in order to become closer to the Creator? And by giving something up, that could be all kinds of things. Most of all, comfort. If you're in the personal development space or spiritual space, or you just love personal growth, you already have heard this 1,000 times that the comfort zone is not where growth happens, right? So oftentimes the first thing we want to give up, or that is something that we should look to give up, is comfort, me included. I love comfort, but there's also nothing wrong with wanting to be comfortable, but the comfort zone of where am I trying to stay, where I know, so that I don't have to step into the unknown. We can also give up physical things. Where have you maybe, what I like to do now even more than before is like when I bake something and our contractor is here and I know he loves sweet stuff. So, and then I don't go like, oh, I only have 3 muffins left and I have 3 children, like I shouldn't give him one, right? But I was like, hey, do you want a muffin? I baked ring. What can, well, we're talking about giving up, but giving up also physical resources or okay, I was mixing them up. One is giving up and one is the sharing, right? So I was in my brain, I was doing both already. But giving up also giving up your thoughts, like in my muffin example, giving up my thoughts of lack, right? Oh, I won't have enough muffins if I give him one, right? So constantly giving something up, but it could also be giving up um, giving up comfort by going to the gym, or giving up comfort by going on a walk, whatever it is, giving up sweets. Some people, how they do the Whole 30 challenge. They're giving up sugar for a month and only eating whole foods for a month. Surprise, surprise, they always feel better, right? But some people are fasting. They're giving up foods for a certain period of time, just drinking water. So what is something that you can give up to this week or today in order to establish a closer friendship with the Creator? And so, why is this important, the giving up part? Because giving up is where we are checking our ego, where our ego, and our ego is like, okay, what is the ego? Our ego is our body consciousness and our mind, right? So our mind is telling us, oh, we're always eating a piece of candy at 2 p.m. So it's got to always happen. Or our body is telling us, I'm really, really hungry. You shouldn't be fasting, right? Or our body is telling us, oh, I feel slouchy today. You shouldn't go to the gym. But when we are overcoming that, we are actually what we are signaling, or when we're sharing something like a resource that we have, like a muffin or some money, that we are giving a tip to someone, to a waiter that's maybe a little more generous than, maybe normally we want to give 15%. Now we give 18 or 20%. It's like, that stings a little. If it's not stinging a little, it's not giving up. It's not giving something up. Then you're still staying in your comfort zone. It's still generous, it's still nice, but you're not giving something up, which symbolizes to your ego that it's overpowered by your soul. Because generosity and and kindness of giving without calculation is generosity of soul. So what are we signaling with this giving up? Is we are signaling that our soul is in control and that we want to be closer to the Creator, that we want to establish a relationship with the Creator. And why is it important to have this friendship, not just relationship, but this friendship that we're nurturing every day with the Creator? And I'm working on it too, because I want to also get beyond. I've been working on getting beyond this, just asking the Creator when I want something, to having them be as a friend, having him there as a friend. And so in the story of Abraham with his foreskin, the Creator sent these three angels so that they could heal him. And Raphael is known as the angel of healing. So the Creator sent that angel because he just sent the blessing without the shell. He just sent it as an angel. And then he gave Abraham someone to share with, which he knew meant a lot to him. And he also, in the same breath, in the same action, he delivered him the angels that could heal him. So he received the blessing without the shell. So that's the whole goal of the thing. That's the whole goal and the idea behind giving something up and establishing a closeness, a friendship with the Creator where he can deliver blessings to you without the shell, because you guys are so tight that you don't need any shells, right? Oftentimes, and you know this from your personal development journey, probably, if not, then this might be news to you, but a lot of the pain that we are experiencing in our life, we are doing to ourselves. Who here has experienced that before? You can pop it in the comments. So we are doing this to ourselves, and that is every time an invitation from ourselves or from our soul to become closer with the Creator again. Or if we've never been close to the Creator, that we become close to the Creator. So those are really what these shells, what these challenges, what pain is for, always to bring us closer to our soul, closer to the Creator. And when we do an intentional giving up of something, of our comfort, of something, that is a little bit painful to let go of, then we are proactively, it's like in healthcare, it's like you can be proactive or you can, take the medicine later when the illness already happened. So in this case, we're proactively giving something up every day, a little bit something of our comfort, of our mind, of our body, of our ego, of our physical resources, of our space, of our muffins, of our money. We're giving something up proactively that stings a little bit to keep our ego in check, send the signal that we really just care about soul and connection first. And that allows the friendship with the Creator, this close friendship that delivers blessings without pain, blessings without challenges, blessings without what they call in Kabbalah klipa, klipa, the shell around. Then when you receive a whammy, when you receive something like a terrible phone call or a $250 parking ticket for just standing with your hind wheels in the bus stop for 1 minute, which has happened to me, where it's really hard to see that it's a blessing because it gets delivered in such a thick shell. So then we have to do all that extra work of extracting the blessing. So who here thinks it's a good idea to have the Creator be your friend so that you can receive the blessings without the shell, without the challenge, without the pain? Isn't that a beautiful thing to be proactive about it? Raise your hand or type a 1 in the comment. And by the way, I would still love to see more of your faces on camera. I know you're here and you're hiding. Well, it's good to have you here. I love that you're here, so thank you. So let me know in the YouTube chat or on the comments under the video or in our chat here, what is the biggest realization? What is the biggest takeaway that you're taking from this so far? And then we're going to go into the next spot of how to actually create these limitless blessings that we've been talked about, or these blessings that they call impossible, that we have the opportunity for this week. So let me know in the chat before we continue, what is the biggest takeaway that you are taking out of this so far? And I'm going to check the YouTube chat live as well. So pop your answers in there. I would love to hear. I read every comment, whether now or later. So um, I just want to have a little bit of interaction here. You guys are a little bit on the observant side today. Uh, 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 uh. And then I want to cover with you the 4 steps of how we can create these. Oh, I haven't even talked about that with you yet. So I'm seeing you guys are typing. Um, so let's get into it a little bit more with Abraham and his wife Sarah to explain how these impossible miracles are going to happen. So, first of all, what did the Creator do? He sent the 3 angels to heal, but then to heal Abraham from his pain and circumcision wound at 99 years old. And so the second thing then the Creator did, and this is the part where this week we have exceptional access to the energy of impossible blessings, is the story and in the Zohar in the Torah of Vayera. The Creator tells Abraham and Sarah, and I already mentioned that Sarah did not have a womb. He told them that in the next year they will have a child. And so they're both like, oh, all right, we're going to have a child. Like, I'm 90, Abraham is 99. I don't even have a womb. Funny, that's great. That sounds impossible. So that is exactly the kind of energy that we're talking about with the blessings. If things are feeling really, really impossible to get to for you right now, this is your Shabbat. This is your week. This is your energy that you can tap into. This is the 4-step formula that you can make things happen when you're feeling everything seems impossible right now and you need an impossible miracle, like a 90-year-old Sarah with a 99-year-old Abraham making a baby without even having a uterus. That's the kind of stuff that we're talking about. And you have to be a little bit positively delusional in order for this stuff to work, because if you don't believe in the spiritual realm, then you're only believing in the physical world. And if you're only believing in what you're seeing and what you can touch and what you can smell and taste, it's very limited what you can create. The biggest creators in the world, the biggest innovators, the biggest people in history, they have all relied on their sense of knowing that things in the unseen world happen before they happen in the physical world. So we need to stretch our thoughts. We need to stretch our consciousness, right? And this is why this stuff is so fun for me, because I have the right angle cross of consciousness, number 2. And this is literally where miracles and blessings come from being able to think like beyond the illusion of the physical world. So who here is excited for this? And I'm going to check what you guys are saying in the chat first, and then we're going to move on. Still looking at what you guys saying in the YouTube chat too. Let's go. All right. Caitlin is saying, I'm struggling a little because I'm spent emotionally, but feel selfish for wanting to hide. So trying to figure out how to give something. Well, this is a perfect space for you to give, because it sounds like everything would be a little bit challenging to give. And then it's really giving, right? Even if you have a neighbor who's super old and you go over there and say, hey, I'm going to the supermarket. Do you need anything? Right? Anything where you're like, I was like feeling so blah myself. But what can I do? Or, you're like, husband, do you want a foot massage? When you're really the one wanting a foot massage, you're laughing. That's hilarious. So stuff like that, but that's otherwise the negative side, the inner opponent always wants to keep you in that state, right? And the miracles happen, the healing happens when you're in happiness. And it's really, really hard to get into happiness and out of that state of emotionally spent and stuckness and hiding when you're not doing something, giving something up and sharing with someone else, right? Giving up your comfort, giving up a belief system, giving anything up that is hard for you to give up right now. Maybe the belief that you're spent emotionally is ready to be given up. Maybe that's not true. Maybe it's an illusion that you can overcome when you're giving it up and starting some sharing, you know? So there are options and opportunities. Me. That's hilarious. So let me know which one of these resonate and which one of these are accessible to you. And hi, Kamala. And I'm intentionally not saying which ones of these are easy for you, because if it was easy, then it might not be really giving something up, right? So which one of this is accessible to you? Do you have a husband you can give a foot massage to, even if you want one? Do you have a neighbor that you can help? Do you have a cause that you kind of wanted to give $10 to, even though it might be tight, but you're like, I'll trust that I have to give up these $10 because it matters more to me to have a close friendship with the creator and get the blessings delivered without shell, because that takes me time and energy, than it is important for me to hold on to these $10. You know, we have to see the bigger picture with this giving up kind of stuff. So let us know in the chat what's coming through. I want to hear something from you, because I want you to open up those channels again and shift and fish this. Shift this. Paula says, it's always about the energy behind it. It never stays with what you can feel, see, or even sense with the five senses. It is always about the energy. Yes. And that's why we have intuition, right? We just have to listen to the intuition as well and be able to read it. Is it intuition that comes from the inner opponent, or is it intuition that comes from the higher self and the creator? And I think at this point, it would be helpful for me to interject a little authority teaching. You know, in human design, the projectors, we have 5 authorities. We have splenic, we have emotional, we have will center, we have self-projected, we have mental authority. And all of these work a little differently. What they're designed to do, though, is they're all supposed to bring you back to your own discernment and your own knowing of what is my higher self guidance versus what is my inner opponent, my little inner devil, my ego, my wounded baby child inside trying to guide me, my fear, you know? So you don't have to say like, oh, I'm a mental projector and now I have to listen to my authority like this forever. It's just an initial tool to help you. So one of my private clients posted in a chat, in a group chat actually, and she was saying, I have this client and she has a sacral authority, and she's very connected to her sacral authority, and she'll always say, this is a no, this is a yes, but oftentimes these decisions she makes based on the sacral aren't very empowering to her, or they keep her stuck, or make her hang out in wounding more. Or as her mentor, as her coach, she could see that the decisions she was guided to weren't always looking like they came from the highest self. And she said the questions she was asking her sacral were also not always of the highest quality, right? And so it was a beautiful moment for us to realize, and this was, you know, in the Projector Empowerment Collective, which is the call that happens afterwards, after this one, my membership for where we go into all kinds of projector empowerment and the chart. And so it was a beautiful opportunity for me to reflect on the authority and the guidance. And something that I've received from my teachers is that we can only ever get the guidance of our own level of consciousness. So if our own level of consciousness is mostly hanging out in blaming, criticizing, whether that's self-blame, self-criticism, self-judgment, or external, wounded child, the outside um, controlling our inside, whether that's people or situations, circumstances, having any kind of hold or control over your emotional state, then that means that your base level frequency, when you visualize the Hawkins scale of emotions, is pretty low. So then you're hanging out a lot in victimization, then you're hanging out a lot in ego. Ego always thinking I'm better or worse than, But ego isn't about we're all one, we're all equals in some way. Ego always tries to look at where am I better than, or I'm not good enough, whenever we're comparing ourselves, either to the better or for the worse, you're in ego. So, whatever, that's why the inner work is so important, because the more inner work you do to get beyond the ego and to get into your soul guiding you and giving up comfort by feeling your uncomfortable feelings, that can also be a part of what you can give up to become friends with the creator. But that is, the more we do that work, the more we raise our base consciousness, our base frequency, and then we can get higher guidance as well. So my client was asking why and how she could help her, and why is she not getting the best guidance for her sacral. And I said, well, as a natural progression in life, if you didn't have a coach or a mentor who could help you, raise your base level frequency and see, that's why we projectors are so helpful, because we're helping others see how to raise to the vibration of their soul so they can guide themselves for a better life. So my client could see in her, where she wasn't doing that and why. And so the natural progression, if a person is left to their own devices without mentors, without coaches, without help, would be that they follow that guidance. And then they make a terrible, what we might call a terrible decision, but it's really just another blessing that's coming in a shell, right? They might attract a toxic relationship and have a really challenging time with that relationship for a few years, which if they hadn't picked that person, it could have been avoided. But maybe it wasn't meant to be avoided, because maybe they had to go through the process of growth. I was in a very challenging relationship, and not because my ex was so terrible, but because I needed the process. I mean, we both did what we could to bring out the worst in each other. You know how it goes. And I apparently needed that experience to become who I am now. And I will need another experience. And, that's why I said earlier, we need to be proactive about what we give up so that we don't have to get the hammer over the head later. I'm always talking about the hammer, right? But when we're proactive about giving up our ego and humbling ourselves daily, or humbling ourselves multiple times a day so that we stay in that state of clean energy, then we can get clean energy guidance. If we're hanging out in our ego a lot, we are going to get the guidance that's gonna invoke the circumstance to get us out of our ego. So everyone gets the guidance that gives them the next necessary step for either suffering or blessings, right? But because we already talked about, we want to have the blessings without the shell, without the pain, without the challenges. So we want to know how to establish this close friendship with the Creator. And that is available this Shabbat especially, but always available. So just this Shabbat, you can extra tap into it. Kamala says, I can give my hubby a shoulder and neck massage. That's sweet. Well, make sure it takes you a little bit of something. It feels like you're actually giving something up. That's the juicy part. All right, so now let us look at the recipe to create these insane miracles in your life that Sarah and Abram had in their 90s, being blessed with a child while she didn't even have a womb. And I want you to know that this is a formula that you don't just apply once, but it's something that you want to ingrain in your consciousness. You want to write it down. You want to come back to it every day. You want to include it in your base level understanding of how the world works, because it's not something that you invite in once and then, I mean, I'm not to say, but most likely you're not going to just think or do this once and then you're going to have those insane miracles. It's something that you program yourself to. And what is consciousness if not programming our mind to our heart and our soul on a constant basis, on a daily basis, hopefully. It's just a reprogramming, right? And so that we can vibrate at a higher frequency and make more miracles happen in our lives, especially those ones where you're like later in life when you're telling the story to your great grandchildren, you're like, I have no idea where that came from, but it was ridiculously amazing and I could not have planned it like that. Paula says, I only need good experiences from now on. I will tap into that. Exactly. Let's do that. So let's get into the 4-step formula for impossible miracles. I said 45 minutes for us today. Let's see if we can get these done in 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. Okay. Because I want you to have a proper understanding of them as well. So the first one is the newness of the connection, your spiritual connection, your spiritual practice, your way of connecting with the Creator cannot get old, right? So I have that feeling in myself sometimes where it's like, oh, now I need to do that again and this again, or where it's like it's natural and normal to you, then it's old, right? And funnily enough, I pray still from my childhood the Dear Father, who thou art in heaven every night. And for some reason, I've prayed that for probably 45 years with like missing a few months here and there when I thought I could get lazy, but I couldn't get away with it. But funnily enough, every time I pray it, I figured out a way of how to make it new. The way I think, the way I say, the flavor I give, the meaning behind it, it always feels new. But then I have this Kabbalistic prayer that I do every morning, and that somehow sometimes feels old and normal and like I'm just rattling something off, checking something off. So every day you will have to figure out how to make your relationship, your connection with the Creator new again, like a honeymoon, right? You don't want to like, I'm married, I'm letting myself go now. Oh, I'm just checking it off the list, you know? So that is the first thing we want to make sure. You guys are married. Haha, that's why you're laughing. You want to make sure that it's up to you and your responsibility to make your newness of the connection with the Creator every day. However you do that, whether you're like, oh, today I'm going to talk to the Creator through the bricks in my neighbor's chimney. I was like, oh, hi, bricks, you're the Creator too. So let me, whatever it is, just be creative about it. Make it like, oh, if you had a crush on someone, you know, how would you like talk to them differently? Exactly. Keeping it fresh, just like in any relationship. It's such an important recipe, right? So that is recipe ingredient number 1 for impossible miracles, keeping it fresh. Number 2, living in a state of nothingness. And this is again also where the humbling of the ego comes in every day, right? That we really realize if it wasn't for the Creator, we wouldn't even be breathing. If it wasn't for the Creator, I wouldn't have fingernails. It's a miracle that I have fingernails. It's a miracle that I have a computer and Zoom works and internet, that we really see everything that we usually take for granted as a miracle already, right? Because by seeing everything as a miracle, what do you energetically do? You open up the door wider to even more miracles, right? If you're like, it's so normal that I have gorgeous blue eyes, it's just what I've been told, But whatever it is, it's just normal that I can breathe. It's just normal that I can walk, whatever, dude, It's normal that I can feel my feelings. It's normal that I have children. It's normal. Everything, you have to see it as a miracle. It's a miracle that I have a piece of paper that I could write my notes on for this call. It's a miracle that I can even write, that there are letters. Who thought of this stuff? That's miraculous. Who thought of a body? That's we can't, and in the human design chart, there's a special gate for that, the gate of wonder, and wonder opens up so much energy. And like in everyday life, this is why it's so magical, even for you to do this on an energetic level. The newness of connection will train you to have newness of connection also with your other people in life. And it will make you and all your interactions and friendships and relationships so much more powerful just by you renewing your connection with the creator every day and then living in this state of I am nothing without the creator. The creator gave me all these miracles and seeing everything as a miracle. They call that in Kabbalah the state of Ein. Ein Sof means the endless. That is, where you're really plugging yourself in as a part to the giant miracle that is creation, right? With that consciousness. We're just talking consciousness here for the 4 steps for creating insane miracles. So step number 3, well, the 4th one is an action step, but 3 of them are consciousness. Step number 3 is the realization and the asking. And you really have to believe this. And it's good if you have an example from your own life or from somebody else's life. Is there anything that the light of the creator can't do? Do you believe, do you really know that the creator can do anything? If the creator wanted, I don't know why I'm always going dark first. If the creator wanted a giant hole to open in the ground and all our neighborhood to fall into it, it could happen. If the creator wanted golden coins to fall from the sky right now, the creator could make it happen. If the creator wanted Sarah without a uterus to have a baby at 90, he could make it happen, right? Not quite the miracle story like Sarah, but I had a baby naturally at 45, natural pregnancy. I prayed for him for 6 years and did hard energetic work, but it happened, And this story, when I share it, is such a hope and miracle story for others, That's my 35 in the sun. So, but anyways, step number 3, asking, realizing, is there anything? Do you believe that there is anything the light of the creator can't do? That is the knowing, the realization, the level of consciousness you have to program yourself into if you want to be the receiver of impossible miracles. Don't look like you're in despair. You can believe this. And if you can't believe it yet, then pray for the creator to help you believe it. That's always the next best step, right? So it's like, how do I do this? Many people always like, how do I do this? Ask, pray. That's how you do this. So step number 4, here's where it gets interesting again. Coming back to the Kabbalistic tree of life, or in human design, I like to see it as the 35, unconditional love. It's the 4th step is actually the fuel that makes everything happen. It's the fuel to bring the miracles into being and this is why I harped on it so hard earlier, actions of extraordinary kindness and sharing every single day. We really need to program ourselves for it because guess what? The more people do this, the better the world gets. If everyone did just 1 or 2 examples or actions of uncalculated sharing every day, Not because you want something back, not because you know it's better for you, not because this or that, or you want your neighbor to like you, just because it's an extraordinary act of sharing and kindness. That is the fuel that you're looking for. And imagine you doing that more. Everyone who sees that in your life will also be inspired by that and see. And then, that is how we actually make the world a better place. Not from changing politics or telling Trump to bring the SNAP stamps back in the US. And he's like, no, I won't do that. But we're changing it from the inside out, just like our own lives, right? We're not changing our own lives by asking our partner to do things differently or to change. We're changing our life by changing from the inside out. And that's exactly what we're doing in the world too. And if you want to receive extraordinary miracles, you can, but you have to do your part, right? And that still somehow seems a little bit conditional, but that's where you have to train yourself to become a little bit like split-minded, right? And it's like, oh, I'm doing this. No, let me. And if you can't do it, then ask for creator, please help me deliver this act of sharing and kindness just unconditionally. I don't want anything back for it. I don't want to do it because of anything. I just want to do it because you want me to do it and because I want to do it. And that is the fuel. This is the only way that you can actually establish this consciousness that we're talking about here, these 4 steps, is when you do these unconditional, uncalculated acts of sharing. And if you read the gene keys around this in the gate 35, gene key 35, which happens to be my conscious sun, so I have to extra be mindful of the energy around it, because the shadow is hunger and always wanting more, more, more. And man, am I familiar with that. But in the Chinese I Ching, which is where the gene keys and the human design actually come from, the gates, that is considered easy progress. Guess why? Because when you're sharing unconditionally, when you're loving unconditionally, all the gates open. Easy progress. And in Gene Keys, they talk about this as a wormhole jump. You can jump timelines, you can jump wormholes just through this. And this is, and Kabbalistically explained, and this Shabbat is a big piece of this. These are not separate Shabbat energies. It's just the Shabbat where these things come together of how to make the Creator your best friend so that you don't have to receive your blessings in a shell anymore, and the recipe and awareness and consciousness around how to make impossible miracles happen in your life. And the sharing is not new. I harp on that every week because I am seeing the effects of easy progress and amazingness and wormholes and timeline jumps in my own life now that I'm embodying my own freaking conscious sun more. And you could have the 35 defined or not defined. It doesn't matter. Everyone has it, right? You have access to this energy too, even if it's not defined. So Caitlin says, I will go and walk with hubby and dogs later. I know we both could use it. It keeps it fresh but uncomfortable since it's not what we may want to do later. I will consider others too. I love it. Yes, and this is, you will feel, and even just the act itself, because you're giving up comfort, you're giving up something and you're keeping it fresh and whatever. So I want to give you 3 prayers that you can ask for, especially tonight after sundown, the Shabbat energy tomorrow until sunset. These are not prayers that are prescribed, but that came intuitively to me, and you can use them, or you can, of course, also always do your own. That's much encouraged anyway because of the freshness of connection, and I want you to build your own relationship, of course, with the Creator. But you can include them. Number 1, ask the Creator to awaken your desire to share with others. And Number 2, ask the Creator for the strength to constantly give something up to become closer friends with Him. Because it can be really it can feel challenging to give something up, right? So all you need to ask is for the strength. I had a big day going on today, lots of stuff that's happening, kids, gym, calls, work, private clients, all the things. And I didn't sleep for 2 hours in the night, and I was ruminating on stuff. And I was like, how in the world am I going to get everything done today that I want to get done with the energy that I want to get it done with, most importantly, because I don't want to create from a state of lack. I was like, oh, I remembered, oh, I just need to ask the Creator for the strength. And then I did that, and then I went back to sleep. Ha ha. It's always the divine joke, right? Once you ask for help, then it's like everything's fine. Number 3, ask for the certainty to know that every shell contains a blessing, right? That is something that every day I get confuddled by the physical world. They're always keeping wanting to trick me and telling me that these things are really as dire as they look. And I'm like, wait a second, no, this is just a blessing delivered in a shell, and it's probably not a fifth or a tenth or a hundredth as bad as it might look in the beginning. So the bottom line is this, and this is especially important for projectors who like to lean back and wait for the invitation, wait for recognition, wait until they act. This might be a mind-blasting change of scenery for you. What if we started seeing people as opportunities to share with instead of opportunities to get something from? How would your life look different if you looked at every person, especially the challenging people in your life, as an opportunity to share with? Can you imagine the level of pipes that will open for you to receive? Can you imagine the sizes of blessings and miracles that can happen and come through for you in this way? That's what I got. And now I got to hop on a new call very soon, but I would love to know in the chat really quick. Of course, there will be more that's solidifying later. And when you watch this on YouTube on replay, I want to know as well, what is the biggest or one big takeaway that you're taking from today? And when you're typing it, you're also cementing it in your being. And I want to know what it is. So Paula says, remember to ask, why is this so hard to forget? I know. That's why I tried, but it's not working, me says on YouTube. Which part isn't working? I want to know. That's why simple papers on the wall will help. Everything that my inner opponent or the negative side is trying to have me forget, I have a paper on the wall or a little paper on my desk or a screensaver on my phone, because I'm not letting them trick me anymore. It is hard. It is easy to forget. Okay, Kamala says, making the Creator my best friend and keeping the relationship fresh. Yay! Caitlin says, it's okay to slow down. I have support. I just need to ask. Perfect. So those are some great reminders. So remember to give something up every day that stings your ego a little bit. There's always this great quote, a bad day for the ego is a great day for the soul. And share, chase opportunities to share. If there's something where someone asks, hey, can you volunteer? And you can do it, jump in, even if it's a little uncomfortable. You're welcome, Paula. She says, thank you so much. This was beautiful as always. I am so happy. So this is our energy study for the week. And if you want to be live here for the next one on Zoom, I'm going to put the link to sign up in the comments, because on Zoom here, it's always a powerful group. And today felt a little bit more quiet, but I did not let that derail me. Hopefully you get a powerful activation and new steps and realizations and consciousness. You're welcome, Noor. And I was glad that you made it here. You're welcome, Kamala. And I'm glad you came here live. And you're welcome, Caitlin. I will see you guys on the internet, hopefully next week or in one of my upcoming things that are also happening. Stay tuned on my email list and you can sign up below. Love you guys. Shabbat Shalom. Happy week. Go rock it.